It's telling me we're now live. I think we're there. We'll just, you know what? We'll just start talking. And if people are watching, bonus. And if not, they won't even know what they're missing. We'll just have a good chat, you and me. How's that sound?
I should not be distracted by the fact that it says stream output, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Again, fingers crossed. First time. I don't know what I'm doing. We're just diving in, feet first, head first, every which way. And we hope we're swimming by the end of this. All right. Well, assuming we are live on Facebook, welcome everyone to Someone's Good Books, the show that shines a light on really good books released during a challenging time. I'm your host, Joel A. Sutherland, author of the best-selling Haunted Canada series, and the person most likely to accidentally be on mute through an entire Zoom work meeting. My guest today is author, editor, and creative writing teacher, Kallie George. She's written numerous books for children, including the Magical Animal Adoption series, Wings of Olympus, Duck, Duck, Dinosaur, and The Lost Gift. Kallie lives in Vancouver, BC with her husband and son. Welcome to the show, Kallie. How are you?
Good. How are you, Joel? Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's great to see you again. We were just chatting a little bit and reminiscing about our Word on the Street Lethbridge meeting a couple of years ago in Alberta.
That seems like a long time ago. And we were just saying how my little guy I brought him along and he was like not even a year old. And now he's 2 years old. So it's like
pretty amazing.
You can definitely
pretty impressive.
You can chart time by kids if you have kids. Cause 1 year's a big difference. So
it is. So much changes in that amount of time. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, if anyone watching wants to say hello or has any questions for Kallie, please post them in the chat and we'll try our best to get to them. So without any further ado, Kallie, shall we get started?
Totally.
Nice. Then it's time to get into Someone's Good Books. First question for you, Kallie. Wings of Olympus, The Cult of the Clouds was published on April 14th, 2020 by HarperCollins. In keeping with the name of this show, tell us what makes The Cult of the Clouds a good book.
So this is the second book in the Wings of Olympus series. And it is about a young girl named Pippa. So it's set in ancient Greece. This young girl, Pippa, she was an unlikely hero in the first book in a winged horse race. This time, she is back on mortal soil, and she thinks the days of, magic are gone from her. But then she encounters a little baby winged horse, a colt. And she knows that the gods do not like the winged horses to be below the mountain. So, and this also comes at a time when suddenly there's this giant storm that ruins everyone's crops because it's salt water, it's not fresh water, so it's like a magical storm, and everyone blames the little winged colt on the storm. So she, rather than the colt being sacrificed or killed, she rescues the colt and decides to return it to the gods and the goddesses of Mount Olympus. But as she heads up there by herself with the colt, she encounters another boy who joins her. He's got something to prove. And before they even reach the mountain, they realize that the mountain is everything's changed. Zeus has been thrown off of his throne, and there's somebody, they think it's one of the gods who has taken over, and all the other goddesses and goddesses have been imprisoned. So now not only does she have to return this colt, she also has to basically save Mount Olympus, and her own personal goal is that all of the winged horses have disappeared, and they don't know where they are, except for this little colt. So part of whoever basically overtook the mountain, whoever overtook it, this person has also stolen all of the colts, killed them. She doesn't know. And so it's a bit of a mystery story. I really like to write stories that have a bit of a mystery to them too. So she's trying to uncover this. So it's very much an adventure, lots of Greek myth, high stakes, and a girl and a colt. It's also a horse story. So it's got a few different layers. I really, really love Harry Potter. And I love how Harry Potter's got the different layers, the mystery story, the school story, the magic story. I try to do a lot of that kind of layering in my books.
That sounds great. And like you said, high stakes, saving Mount Olympus. That's no small
thing. Saving Mount Olympus.
No pressure.
Yeah.
What's it? I gotta ask. What's it been like having a book released during the times that we find ourselves in?
It's always a little weird with books being released, truthfully. Like, you get so excited about their release date. You're like, oh my goodness, it's the book birthday. I worked so hard for this book. And then, unless you have something arranged, like a book launch or something, it can be a little anticlimactic. Sort of like your real birthday is, actually. Like, your real birthday, you're like, oh, I'm going to turn whatever. And then it's like, oh no. When you're little, it matters more, I think. When you get old, it's like really disappointing. But with the book birthdays, it's really nice to celebrate all that hard work in a book launch or with some events. And right now, that obviously can't happen. And you also sort of know the book sales aren't the best right now. Like, that is a fact. So you have that little like stab in your heart, like you're having a book released in not the best of times. But other than that, I'm still really proud of this book. So no matter how it fares, I know that I did a really good job with it, and I'm proud of it. I still
That's
like it.
good. Yeah, no, I mean, every book I write, I tell myself the same thing. You just write the best book you can,
Yeah,
and you put it out there, and you don't know how it's going to be received, if it will be received at all. And as long as you're proud with it and know that it's the best book you could write, then you know you've done your job, and the rest is up to the readers. Right?
exactly. And I'm always stunned by I get a lot of like emails from kids who really like my books for different reasons. And that really makes it worth it. And I just keep reminding myself of that. Like, I feel very lucky. I've had some books that have done really well. The Carwood's done pretty well. And Wings of Olympus has definitely like certain people have really liked it. So that's really great. And that's the first book. So this one's just like new out there. For Wings of Olympus, for the very first book, there was a lot of unanswered questions about this family, and it sort of didn't. It was one of my first books that I didn't wrap everything up super neatly, and so Cold in the Clouds it explores more of our family. It helps wrap up some of those questions that maybe some kids had from the first book.
Oh, good. Nice. Well, that ties in perfectly, actually, to my next question. I wanted to ask, since The Cult of the Clouds is a sequel, and as we all know, it's an irrefutable fact that sequels are always twice as nice as the first book in the series. It's totally not a fact, but just pretend it is. How would the first book in the series respond to this allegation?
Like, what do you mean? Like, do you think the first book will get mad at the second book?
I'm trying to stir up a little brouhaha, a little scrap, a book battle. Yeah, it was a very thinly veiled attempt. You saw right through it.
Kind of stuff. Like, I really like the first books in the series as a reader in general. Like, I do. I like the first Harry Potter so much because I think that they tend to be the introduction to a world, and I think that that's really fun. Like, there's something wonderful about learning the world for the first time. But these two books, if they were going to go to battle, I think that the second one is maybe better plotted than the first book, actually. The second one's got more adventure and more high stakes. And and the villain's really good in the second book. So I think kids will like that a lot. I actually really enjoyed writing the second book. So, I think that they would have it out. The first book has the genius of just the first new idea, and I think there's something special about that. And there is the race element to the first book. Like, the first book's about a winged horse race, which is like, a good climax scene, always a race.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds great. Excellent. I tried my best to get a really good big battle going, but
Nice. My books would probably all get along. It's so sad.
I kind of have that feeling. It does seem like they'd have a really nice tea party together.
Yeah, it's horrible.
They'd share sourdough recipes during the quarantine.
Yeah, baking bread. You know what? I haven't baked bread yet. I just have been siphoning off my parents' bread. My parents, they basically are isolating with us because they live right next door. So they look after my son, thank goodness. But yeah, my mom's a really good baker, and like, we definitely have we can just steal food.
Oh, perfect. That's a blessing these days, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, next question, moving right along. Since the beginning of our lockdown, would you say you've worn more or pajamas?
Hmm.
We're getting into
Well,
serious territory here with these
yeah, I
questions.
know. I definitely haven't worn more pajamas because I'm not so much a pajama person, but I am wearing like more tights right now because I tend to do yoga classes now whenever I can fit them in. So like, might as well be ready to go. And I used to be one of those people that was like, oh, don't wear yoga pants during the day. But now I am wearing yoga pants during the day. But partially what's weird about this is that for those who don't know, I my family moved to this house right before this whole thing happened. So we built a house from scratch. We designed this house, and we were always set to move in the spring. But it so happened that there was a flood in our apartment, so we had to move in right after Christmas. It was hectic. It was horrible. We moved in, and so everything was in boxes. And so for the first part, it was like of this whole quarantine, we basically were just unpacking our stuff out of boxes. So for the first part of the quarantine, I've been wearing the same clothes, like a limited, like capsule closet of like two jeans and like two sweaters for like a month. And I was desperate to get better clothes.
A lot of people have been doing that. They just haven't had a good excuse like you've had.
Yeah, it's a good
Just wear the
excuse.
same days, same clothes every day. I've been working from home, and I've been treating myself to wearing jeans pretty well every day, which my wife calls hard pants. And she says I shouldn't be wearing hard pants, even at work while I'm home. I should just be wearing sweats. I feel like I'm already stepping down enough by just wearing jeans every day.
I'm a jeans like mostly kind of girl. I used to poo poo like I'm like because I have a little boy and like I don't love sweatpants on boys, but God they're easy to change him in. Like I'm like I've given up that battle. I'm like if I have my little boy, I'm gonna dress in a little cute overalls and like all of a sudden like no
Fenders and a little bow tie and no sweatpants, t-shirt.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
I gave up that battle, and plus like pretty much after breakfast his clothes are a mess, so it's like
You got to change at every meal anyway. So. All right. If you could adopt any magical animal, which animal would you choose and why?
Well, this one's pretty easy because I've always loved so I always do, when I create my characters or whatnot, or my magical characters, I usually draw within like mythological lore. So a lot of my characters are like, ones, winged horses or whatnot. And then I sometimes make up my own characters. Like I, filter them in. So in the Magical Animal Adoption Agency, there's tiny little horses called fairy horses, and they're just like about yay big. And I think they're so cute. And I don't know, why not? Like you can have a little mini horse and you can keep it in your like library or whatever. I feel like I love horses, but a real horse is a lot of work. I used to ride a lot and I'm not under any, I know the work that goes along. And a winged horse would be even like more work.
More work. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to like, I don't know what you do with the feathers, really. I don't know.
That's what I was just wondering. How would you take care of a horse's wings?
I don't know. I think that you'd have to get them stretched. Like you'd have to always, but I mean, that's not exactly a downfall. Every day you have to take a flight, but it might become a chore after a while. Once it wears off the novelty of flying around on a winged horse.
Only in fiction could the novelty of flying around on a winged horse ever lose its appeal.
Imagination that goes that far.
Exactly. All right. In a game of Duck, Duck, Dinosaur, who would win? A duck, a dinosaur, or a Callie George?
Oh man, that series, it's my husband's favorite series. You know how that series came to be?
How? Tell us.
My husband has dinosaurs. He loves dinosaurs. He works in film. He works and he does like a lot of stuff he did a lot of stuff on the Jurassic Park movies, or Jurassic World, I guess it is. Anyways, he loves dinosaurs as much as I loved winged animals, and he has a toy dinosaur from when he was a kid. And once we were joking around, and he said, like, what would we do if there's a fire in our apartment building? And he said, oh, you know what, Callie? I would save this toy dinosaur before I saved you.
At least he's honest.
He loves it so much. It's like his like teddy bear, right? And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You would say that over saving your wife? And he's like, oh yeah. And so I'm like, that's sort of when I was like, oh, I better do a series with dinosaurs in it. I think obviously the dinosaur would win. The dinosaur's gotta win. Although Feather, the duck, Feather, she's pretty feisty. So
So don't count her out, is what you're saying.
yeah, exactly. Don't count her out.
And you're in a very respectable third place, taking home the bronze.
Yeah, exactly. I would definitely lose in that book. Ori likes that book. That's sort of nice. Do your kids read books?
Yeah, actually, my oldest child, Charles, he's 10. He read a couple of the two first books in the Haunted series, and he said, "Dad, these are almost as good as Goosebumps." That was high praise.
That's pretty.
I almost quit writing there. I thought it's all downhill from here. So
yeah, there was a brief period where Ori really liked two of my books, Secrets I Know and Dr. Dinosaur, but he tends to like glom onto a book and then he'll want to read it for like a whole week and then it's the next book. But I mean, his favorites continuously are Richard Scarry. So I don't think I have a shot.
I know.
Good taste is all I'm saying. The kid's got good taste.
I was thinking I should write a picture book for my youngest child, but maybe I shouldn't. I couldn't. My ego couldn't take it.
Yeah, there's so many good books, but there needs to be more too. Because, like, yeah, I don't know. I love a good picture book.
Can't go wrong.
You could do something with Creepy Carrots. You should read that book. Creepy Carrots is a good book.
Oh, I love that book. That's a good one. Very good book. Yeah, that's the one with the bunny, right? And the creepy carrot that's like glowing in the dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ori goes, creepy carrots.
I love that. All right, I think this is my last question. You've recently written 3 books inspired by Anne of Green Gables. Did I get that right? 3 books? I didn't miss any? You're very prolific. You
know what? There is one coming out next month. So I've got 2 books coming out during the time of craziness.
Amazing. So that'll be your 4th Anne of Green Gables inspired.
Yeah, art here. I'll show you.
Go grab it. I'll just show people my amazing thumb trick while we wait.
So actually, this isn't the art. This is like the finished copy. That's the next one that's coming out.
So it's another picture book.
Yeah, it's another picture book. There's more in the early chapter book series too, or the early reader series, and those. But the next one's not coming out until next year, I think. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, so you're clearly, obviously, an Anne of Green Gables expert. So my question for you, Kallie, is: what's your favorite scene in the series, and was it when Anne smashed Gilbert's slate on his head? Because that scene is amazing, and he totally deserved it.
That scene is amazing. I do love that scene. You know, I don't know if I could pick a favorite. I've read that book. Now I've read Anne of Green Gables like so many times. Like I can't do like that. Like 20 times. Like my versions of it. I've read it a lot of times. And I actually think the more I read it, the more I respect and admire Montgomery for her use of language. And there's not necessarily a scene I love. I think I saw Ellie McKay. Ellie McKay, she's a great Canadian artist. If you guys don't know of her, she does like the cut paper art. And she did some of the covers for Tundra for the new releases of Anne of Green Gables, but like the originals. So she's a big Anne fan too. And I saw her post today that on every birthday, she thinks of Anne of Green Gables because Ella Montgomery has the most beautiful use of language when it comes to describing nature. She describes nature in the most beautiful ways. And I think that is one of my favorite things too about Anne of Green Gables, like just Anne's description of the natural world. That's my favorite part.
That's super cool.
Answers that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's going on here is this is my first time doing one of these live stream shows using Lightstream, and I was assuming that the chat would show up on the screen here. I'm not actually on Facebook, so I'm not seeing. I see some thumbs up and whatnot, but I'm not seeing anything else come through. So I'm gonna have to try and work that out for next time. So I apologize if anyone has left any questions for Kallie. Maybe we could post some comments if with any answers, if anyone does have any questions that we're missing that just aren't coming through on my dashboard. So I think we'll move along and say that we're almost done for tonight for this show, but I have saved one of the most important segments for last. Since the beginning of quarantine, there's been little reason to wear shoes, and I found that people's socks have taken center stage, so I thought it'd be really fun for our viewers to show off our socks. They're taking so much of a limelight during this quarantine. I'll go first. I'm not going to put you on the spot first, Kallie, but I am going to have to see some socks first. But first, if I can get this up onto my computer desk, I have these nice bright red socks on tonight. See if I can position it well. It's a little hard to see there.
Cool. Very cool, Joel, I must say. Yeah.
Thank you. They are moose. They're kind of upside down right now, but they are moose on my socks. And I picked them out in honor of you because you write so many books with beautiful, amazing animals. So I had to find the most, colorful animal socks I could find in my sock drawer.
You want to say meese, but
I almost said meese.
Not meese. That sounds
awesome. Yeah.
Did you know that a collection of hedgehogs is called a prickle?
That is now one of my favorite collective nouns.
Me too.
Better than Parliament of Owls.
I know. Prickle of hedgehogs. How cute.
Love that.
I don't have very good socks on. Like, my socks are boring. Even though you warned me, they're just boring socks. But I did bring my favorite pair of my son's socks, which are little Tiggers.
Those are adorable.
I don't let him wear them very often because they don't have grip on the bottom. And you probably know this. No grip is just not very smart when you're running around a house. Like, you slip all the time. And he loves to run. So... but I love those socks so much.
And they're animals too.
Yeah, they're animals too. That's true. Yeah, they're Tiggers.
Tigger's an animal.
And I was telling you before this too that I found recently, and I couldn't find them again, but my son's like baby socks. They're so little. They're big. They're like fairy socks. They could be useful if I did have a fairy horse, but yeah.
It's fitting with tonight's theme. Well, thanks for sharing those socks. Those were some really cool socks. I did appreciate that. Well, this has been a great interview, Kallie. I do see a couple of comments here. No questions, but we've got Tyler saying hey, and also Sandy saying you and says hi as well. So that's cool. Some comments are starting to pop up. That's excellent. Like I said, this has been a great interview. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to see my library?
Yes, let's see her. We're in your house. Let's take a look at. Great chance to see an author's library.
I don't really have I was telling you this before, and too that I was so surprised because I thought for sure I'd fill all of my bookshelves. So I designed my library myself because we designed our whole house ourselves, and we really wanted something we read about was that. If you're making a house, you have to figure out what's the heart of your home. So we sort of centered everything around my library, which is on the second floor. At one point in one of our early designs, it was actually a tower. But then it looked goofy because we wanted to have, we don't really live in England. We live on the west side. Towers only look good if they're stone. Shingle towers look a little iffy, but ours is all wood shingles, our house. But anyways, my library is in the heart of the home in a way. It's the heart, but upstairs. And we did all this millwork for all of the bookshelves, but I didn't fill them all. So I can buy more books. But this is one of my original pieces of art. I got to put up more from one of my books. And this is my bookshelves that are got my Harry Potter wands. And
no way. Yeah. So cool.
And all of my books are in these bookshelves and my notebooks. And then this is my son's books and all the picture books. And then I've got all of the books on writing there. And
I see a story by Robert McKee.
Exactly.
That's one of my favorites.
More art from my own books, and then my window seat, which I always dreamed of having. And you can see outside, we basically have mud flats right now and a ton of wood we've got to mill up. And then, you go to the little section of middle grade novels and classics.
Harry Potter.
And then that's it. there you go. And then my little desk where I'm sitting at. Oh, and I have my balcony. And there's a wind chime out there that I haven't put up yet. But there you go.
Well, as soon as I'm allowed out of my house, I'm coming over for a tea.
Yes,
I
you
just want to sit in
definitely.
your library for about 3 days. And I won't bug you. I'll be very quiet.
I've made sure there's enough space for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people to write and work. Because one day I am going to host like writing retreats in our
I was
house.
going to say a writing retreat.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to have like people up from the States, like some of my editors and my agent. And like, we're just going to all, we're going to use, there's lots of bed and breakfasts around the coast. Obviously, once this is all over, once it's safe to travel again. But yeah, I want to do that. That's been a dream. So
amazing. I love that. I love that we got a little tour. It was like Cribs Library Edition.
I'm very proud of my library. It's been a dream of mine since like I was, very, very, very young. So
very cool. Absolutely. Well, listen, everybody that's been watching. Oh, we had one more comment too. Atreyu and Anne, did I pronounce that right? Are watching. Hi, Auntie Kallie.
Oh, so cute.
That's so cool. That's super cool. Just want to say to everybody that's been watching, and I'm going to post this on YouTube afterwards as well, so it'll be there for anyone to continue watching. You can order Kallie's books, including The Wings of Olympus, The Cult of the Clouds, or any of the others we've talked about today, from your favorite bookseller online. And hopefully one day, too, you'll be able to walk into a bookstore and pick them up off the shelves as well. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay home, wash your hands, read Canadian.
See you, Joel.